The National Road Safety Authority has warned transport operators that their vehicles will be grounded if they continue to fail to comply with road traffic regulations. Acting Director in charge of Regulations, Inspection and Compliance of the authority, Kwame Echiahene, tells JoyNews, road users must be severely punished for flouting safety measures to serve as a deterrent to others. He spoke with Mamavi Oswabwaje.
Within the period, what we have done is to take the law to our stakeholders. It is important that we do not spring surprise on anybody. The law requires a lot of transparency as far as the new regime is concerned. The new regime requires the authority to sanction institutional misbehavior. But so you cannot just begin to do so without bringing your stakeholders on board. So that's what we've been trying to do essentially. But in the law, Parliament requires of us to come back in 12 months with a legislative instrument to provide further details on some aspects of the law. Nonetheless, there are a good part of the law that can be functional whilst we work on the regulation.
And people want to be able to relate. If somebody drives recklessly, if somebody, and we've heard so many accounts with this particular accident, that it's not a place where you can overtake, and that it's an accident-prone area. So the questions we're raising was, if it's an accident-prone area, what have we done about it?
Yeah, so what this law does, the new mandate of the authority, that if I could summarize it, is to ensure institutional responsibility. So, for instance, these trucks or vehicles that got themselves involved are coming from a certain institution. And these institutions ought to have certain procedures, safety protocols and standards at play. So our interest really is to find out whether these standards, procedures have been abided by. And if that was done, was there a possibility that these incidents would not have occurred?
And the punishments if somebody is found guilty?
So the police will continue to have a frontline enforcement with the individual road users. So for instance, the police should ascertain that these guys are guilty of dangerous or careless driving, the Road Traffic Act will come to play. But for our purpose, if out of these investigations going forward, it is found that the institutions failed to do one thing or the other, taking a cue from what the Bank of Ghana has done, what Ghana Civil Aviation Authority is able to do for airline companies, we'll get to a stage very soon where we'll ground transport operators.
Really?
Yes.
In the reports that I played, Malik was talking about the punishment not being deterrent enough. I wonder if the fact that you're an authority changes that.
Now the authority is in a position to impose administrative penalties between 2,000 penalty units and 20,000 penalty units.
What would that constitute in terms of the figures?
That's about, so that's subsidy per penalty unit, so up to about 240,000 Ghana cedis.
Without going to court?
Yes. And for institutions that will come under our direct supervision and control, like transport operators, they would have to come under permit. So if at a point in time we are uncomfortable with your safety practices and the way you manage your operations, we could suspend your license. It's never happened, but it will happen.